It's time for the Rick Smith Show. Now, here is the voice of the working class, Rick Smith.
And welcome, brothers, sisters, working class heroes. This is the Rick Smith Show. Thanks so much for being here today on the big program. Lots to get to, lots to talk about. Fake news front and center. And I've always found it interesting that the former guy used the fake news frame and did it well. Look, I mean, they took it, they grabbed it for their own, they stole it from reality, and they attached it to every true story that was out there so that they could, well, discredit it. And in the real world, where the true fake news is, it is the Foxes and the OANs and the Newsmaxes and all of these propaganda stations that have been well funded. The investor class, when things get rough for them, they heavily fund fascism and propaganda. And this is what we were seeing since Joe Biden's become president. The reality is the right has no ideas. They have no policy. They've got nothing but division. And the thing was, this is where, the argument had always been from Fox News that, they're just putting their spin on it. And I understand that. I understand spin. Spin is one thing. But a blatant out and out lying is completely another. We're in this world right now where the truth be damned. We need outrage. We need grievance radio. We need people. We need maximum anger. We need to ramp up the anger because Joe Biden's actually doing things people want. Can't have that. We need to maximize the division. We need to turn up the hate to 11. And it's what you're seeing out of the right-wing echo chamber, from the meat beer of yesterday. Because we can't, they're going to make us drink plant-based beer. And to no more meat. No one's allowed to eat meat. Joe Biden's taking your meat. And look, this has been something that they've used for many years now. This isn't new, but they need it. They need it to keep the stupid going, take my meat. The New York Post, for instance. They had a story about, evidently, the government is buying up Kamala Harris's books to give to migrant children who can't speak English, because that's what the government does. No, it's a totally bogus BS story. But the faithful bought it. The faithful, they Joe Biden's not really in charge. It's that Kamala Harris. She's really in charge. Stoking that fear and that hatred. That angry black woman is in charge. They need that racism. Laura Ingraham, going out, what Bakari Sellers is sporting an accent. No, Bakari Sellers is from South Carolina. Bakari Sellers talks like somebody from South Carolina. Not sporting an accent just to outrage your audience. But that's what they use it for. Because they need it. They need the outrage. They need the anger. They need the Tucker Carlsons of the world to now just come out and no longer dog whistle. We don't need dog whistles anymore, because it's gotten to the point where the dog whistles aren't angering people enough. You need to be out and out because now they're not creative enough. Now you need to maximize the division, maximize the hatred, maximize every opportunity to tear us apart. So little Tucker Carlson, with his little tiny bow tie and his tiny little brain, goes on this screed last night about kids wearing masks. It's an abomination. He says, as for kids wearing masks outside, it should be illegal. Now remember, these are the people who are against big government. These are the people who want government out of your life. These are the people who want deregulation. These are the people with the freedom, the liberty people. These are the folks who are telling you, live your life, do your thing, and get the government out of my life, and the heck with you. He goes on to say that requiring children to wear masks while being outdoors constitutes child abuse, and that all Americans are morally obligated, he said, morally obligated to attempt to prevent it. You see a kid with a mask on, rip that damn thing off. And my mind goes to this place. Whatever happened to minding your own freaking business? Whatever happened to that party of individual liberty? The party who preached to me about freedom? Whatever happened to that party? I know they never really existed. They at least tried to pretend like they cared, like they had some clue of what liberty and freedom really is. They at least put on a good facade. They tried. Now we know they're showing their true colors. They are the fascists that we always thought they were. They don't like something, they're going to use government to force it upon you. They don't like you wearing a mask, they're going to call Child Protective Services and have your kids taken away because you're abusing them. And he goes on this weird kind of, this is the weirdest part of this. He says, if it's your own children being abused, then act accordingly. Let's say your kid's school emailed you and announced that every day after lunch, your sixth grader was going to get punched in the face by the teacher. How would you respond to that? And I'm going, am I missing something? The teacher punching the kid in the face and wearing a mask, that's somehow equatable, somehow in the same realm of possibility? Clearly, no rational person would allow the teacher to punch your child in the face. That's not going to happen unless I were Tucker Carlson's parents. And then I would have them put him back in line to go through a couple of times because clearly he needs it. But the idea that we're going to forcefully make parents, forcefully make them not have their children wear masks and protect not just the children, but the parents and the grandparents and the family until we're fully vaccinated. Now, understand, we're coming into this moment where we're starting to open up a little bit. The CDC saying once you're vaccinated outside, you don't need the mask. You know, they're starting to go, hey, we're loosening the strings. So what Tucker and the rest of the right-wing spin machine or lie machine needs, they need maximum division. They need maximum anger. How dare they make those children go outside with masks on? How dare I not be able to see their faces? See their miserable little faces. I mean, it's really kind of crazy. But the thing is none of this is new. None of this fake outrage, none of this fake anger, none of this dog whistle politic. None of this is new. This is their MO. This is what they do every day. They need it. They need it to keep people tuned in because people need their 3 hours hate. They need that constant thing to be just furious about. So this isn't new. And look, it's not even real. It's about maximizing the outrage, like I said. It's about getting that old curmudgeon who yells at the kids, "Get off my lawn!" to be even more angry because it's the only way they can keep his attention. It's the only way they can keep his attention from figuring out how bad he's been getting screwed over by Republican policies for decades. Keep him angry about cancel culture, kids wearing masks, those transgender people who he doesn't know and doesn't see. They need that blind rage. They need anger. They need grievance radio and grievance TV. They need people who are going to eat the red meat. Unless Joe Biden's going to take the red meat from them. It's really just insane. And what's crazy about this to me, and look, they've used this mask issue to really ramp up the rage. These are all people who are telling you to rip the masks off your kids. And if you see someone in public, go up and accost them and tell them to rip the masks off the kids and because we can't trust you. Oh, crazy. But these are all people who are, guess what? Guess what? These are people who are all, you know it, you know what I'm going to say next. You understand. These are people who are all vaccinated. These are all people who shy away from the crowds. These are all people who they're doing what they got to do to not get sick themselves because they got multi-million-dollar gigs, man. They got paychecks to keep in their pocket. But they need to ramp up that hatred and that anger and all that stuff. And look, Fox has been nailed with lawsuits. I mean, and look, there's been a ton of these issues. I mean, Mr. Potato Head and this Dr. Seuss and all the ridiculous stuff that they throw out to get people all wadded up in the panties. All during the election, all the voter fraud stuff. That as I think the lawsuit that Dominion had put it best. Fox gave these fictions a prominence that otherwise would have never been achieved. They're the dominant news media company among the viewers dissatisfied with the election, and they gave all these conspiracies, they gave it the oxygen that it wouldn't have had otherwise, because it's false. And the lawsuit's interesting because Fox is being sued by both Dominion Voting Systems and Smartmatic. Smartmatic's going for $3 billion. Dominion's going $1.6 billion. So they're on the hook for potentially $4.6 billion. Because as the Dominion lawsuit says, Fox recklessly disregarded the truth. And their response is, well, we're not news, we're entertainment. We're entertainment. Which I think tells us all we need to know. It's not about news. It's not about information. It's about outrage. It's about selling widgets. It's about selling pillows and streams of this or streams of that or gadgets or gizmos. It's about the sale. And as soon as the old curmudgeon who's yelling at the TV and those damn libtards, as soon as they wake up to the reality that this was all just a grift, it was all a con, it was all to get them to buy those crummy products that don't work and they don't want, hopefully they'll be angry and go to the ballot box and do something positive by throwing the bums that these guys support out. At some point, the Fox viewer has to wake up to the reality that what's in front of them, the doctored photos and the misused videos and the ridiculous spin on when the Texas blackout happened. See, this is what happens when you go to the Green New Deal. It was the windmills that made those people freeze to death. No, it wasn't the windmills, you morons. It was the fact that they deregulated it. But nope, can't say that. All the misinformation around the election, all the misinformation around coronavirus. I mean, Fox News viewers have been lied to so often, they wouldn't know the truth if it jumped up and bit them in the behind. And that's a problem. It's a problem for our democracy. And understand, they need maximum spin right now. They need anger right now more than ever because Joe Biden is doing the job. They've got nothing to attack him or his policies about because guess what? They're popular. People want them. And he's not playing into their games. Peter Alexander, the NBC White House correspondent, said, well, what statement were you making when you wore your mask, out of the building? And Biden was like, I wore it out so that you can see me put it on when I go back in. What are you, a moron? And the answer, yes, he's a moron. But Biden did the job. He came in and said, look, I'm going to get the American Rescue Plan passed through. They did that quickly. They got $1,400 checks into everyone's pocket. They saved workers' pensions. They helped local communities and state governments. They increased the child tax credits to help get money into families' pockets. They helped renters and homeowners and small businesses. And you name it, we were reaching out to help people when they needed it. And oh, by the way, 200 million people vaccinated. Even those folks at Fox News who are telling you don't wear the mask. So that people like Tucker Carlson can snipe from the corner. And I would say, I hope someone puts the dunce cap on him at some point. You throw that on top of yesterday, he signed the executive order, the White House Task Force on Worker Organizing and Empowerment. Huge, huge thing in my view. Also, U.S. Department of Agriculture extending meal program to 30 million kids this summer. Fabulous, popular, things we should be doing. Today, executive order going to raise the minimum wage for federal contractors to $15 an hour. Again, what people want. Doing the job. No fanfare, no pats on the back, no idiotic tweets, no, hey, look at me, just doing the job. And he's doing all this work because it's what we want. And what do we hear from the right wing? It's all about, it's the right wing lie machine. It's all about Dr. Seuss or Potato Head or cancel culture. Constant screeds about being forced to be decent human beings. And look, I used to believe that conservatives were just like everybody else. They wanted to get to the same place. We want a better life for our kids. We want better opportunities. But at some point you got to go. And I used to believe that, they weren't just wrong. They were just misinformed. But when you constantly consume the same poison, when you constantly are enraged by the same kind of lies that they tell you on one day and then change the next, at some point you got to wake up. Remember, the Republican Party and the Fox machine and all of the rest of the right-wing echo chamber, they've been telling you for years, climate change isn't real. It's a hoax. And yet the Republican Party now is going, no, it's decided. We've got bad ideas. It's amazing how they pivot and rewrite their history. It's almost like they read the book 1984, and Winston Smith is the guy who runs Fox News. And every day they just go and rewrite yesterday. And without any type of conscience whatsoever. On this program, I try and stay very, very consistent to what I believe. Because everything I talk about are things I believe in. I give you my unvarnished opinion, and when it changes, I tell you what it is and why I've changed it. And I have done that a time or two over the years, as every sane, rational, thoughtful person should. But when I look at Fox and I look at their spin machine, there's no sanity there. It's all about the sale. It's all about keeping you outraged and watching just another minute longer so you'll sit through the next commercial break. So that maybe you'll buy the pillow or the stream thingy or the toe scrubber or whatever it is they're hawking next. And hoping you'll ignore the fact that Joe Biden is doing the work. And that Joe Biden's got a plan to rebuild our economy, rebuild our nation, rebuild our tax code to make it more fair so that we have the resources to build for the future. Was Joe Biden my first choice? No. Can these policies be much, much bigger and bolder and further to the left? Absolutely. But the reality is this guy's the right guy for the moment. He's rising to the challenge in my view. And Fox News knows it. The right-wing spin machine knows it, which is why they're not really talking about what he's doing. They're talking about everything else. Like Kamala Harris is selling her book to those migrant children, and the government's paying for it. Oh, by the way, the woman who wrote that story admitted she was forced to write the incorrect story, and she resigned today. So there you go. Just another story. Another day in right-wing spin land. Gonna take a quick break right back after this. Stick around.
Nothing more American than workers standing up, and the union gives a voice to win. On the Rick Smith Show.